Well, for those living in rural areas or on farms, the beginning of a year is often the time of preparation for the next growing season. And the Rural Health and Farm Safety Service at Carle is ready to help. Here now, sponsoring our segment is Rural Health and Farm Safety Program Coordinator at Carle Health, Amy Rademacher. Amy, welcome to the program.
It's great to be here.
Well, it's good to have you. Tell me a little bit about, you guys are calling it a Mother's Game Plan for Safety and Health.
Yes, this is a grant that actually was issued by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health via the National Children's Center for Rural Agricultural Health and Safety. What we're doing is we're highlighting some of those high-risk areas where we know youth are involved and making sure that people know what those dangers are. We're focusing on women because oftentimes they're the ones who are making those doctor's appointments. They're making sure immunizations are taken care of, and they're just kind of more of an advocate in safety and health, but not all the time. So we do have men that have registered for the class, and we welcome any and all people.
So it's an online seminar, is that correct? Yep. And you guys have a bunch of dates coming up, and it looks like they're all handling different kinds of things. So in February, you have grain handling, in technology advancements in ag, overall health of youth in ag in March, tractor operations, working with livestock, mental health. I mean, You guys are covering quite the gamut.
We are covering the gamut, and we know statistically those are some of our biggest touching points across the nation, and obviously here in Illinois as well.
That's awesome. So I do have a question, because we're talking about folks that are farmers, people in rural areas. I would assume they would, have a good handle on safety. So why is it so important to create this resource for safety for these folks?
Well, they are. You're right. Safety-minded. I think there's a few things that play into this. We have youth that come to work on a farm and they don't know about agriculture, but they were hired to mow the roadsides in the summer or hired to buck bales and different types of things. We also want to make sure those parents know what those dangers are and remind their kids, hey, this is the personal protective equipment you should have. This is really the proper supervision that you should have, at least for the first day. This all comes into play with Ag Youth Worker Guidelines, and we go over those for each of the specific topics. So that's important. I think there's more and more kids coming back to grandma and grandpa's farm, maybe not mom and dad's, and we forget. I mean, we can forget that these are hazards that we taught our kids, but maybe we got to think about those for our grandkids. So that's why it's important. Our farmers are very attuned to farm safety. We just want to make sure it doesn't take a back seat, and we give anybody the voice to say, hey, this isn't safe, this would be safer.
It's interesting because I think sometimes the more familiar you are with something, it becomes second nature, and you forget that other people don't have that same knowledge that you have. And so it's important to educate the upcoming generation, but also farm equipment is changing too.
Oh yeah, and our technological advancements that'll be interesting because we're going to talk about how things have improved and what technology can help us, but also things like GPS and such that, okay, now we're driving later hours in the field planting. We're working late and around the clock 24/7 because we have GPS on our combine. Well, what hazards do we still have out there lurking by doing those things?
That's incredible. What kind of experts are going to be leading these webinars?
I'm really excited because they're all across the United States. They're safety and health professionals, many of them at universities who specialize in farm safety. And so we have them. One last week we had all the way from California. We've got them all the way into the east. So we've got a gamut of farm safety specialists, but these are hand-chosen because they really specialize in these specific areas.
Well, that sounds like an incredible program. And where do you go to register?
Carle.org/farm safety. Carle.org/farm safety.
Farm safety, that's fantastic. And we're also going to connect you at our website. So if you want to learn more about the upcoming webinars and see the full list of experts that are participating, we're going to have that for you at CILiving.tv. And we do appreciate Carle for sponsoring our segment this afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.